Ready?
Yes.
Welcome, friends, to the Urban Yogi Club, or आज के special edition में we have Mr. Ajay on the on this special podcast, and thank you, Mr. Jain, thank you Ajay for joining us for this.
No, great to be on the show, Akshay. Always happy to be fantastic in stories.
That's what we are about, yeah. So, entrepreneur, traveler, bibliophile, where are you at? आप किस phase में अब तक की journey?
I think you can't really define it in one word. I think I would define myself as a traveler, right? Both literally and metaphorically. So keep moving, keep getting surprised with what awaits at the next milestone. It could be in business, it could be a landscape. Just take it as it comes.
You have built a pretty extraordinary business, over the past few years with a bookstore, a travel cafe, and now an entire chain of, Kunzum. So please take us through the journey,
So I think if you just go back a little in history, I come from a background not literally. I did my engineering, I did my MBA, I got into the IT industry, did that for 5 years, and then I was in the sports management industry. And then at the middle age of 31, I dropped everything and I went to the UK to study journalism. I came back with a master's in journalism. I studied photography. I worked in newspapers. I published a youth newspaper. Then I got into tech and business, blogging and writing columns. And then I realized that I need to do something more. I need to, as a creator, as a photographer, as a writer, I want to do something which is more legacy for me. So I decided to, just on a laugh one day, I said, I'm going to be a travel writer. And I'm going to be primarily exploring my own country, right? And that's what I started in 2007. I took my car out and I hit the road. And in fact, my first journey took me to this region called Spiti, and I discovered this place called the Kunzum La. La means high pass in Tibetan. And I was so sorting by the place, I keep that and called my mouth Kunzum.
Okay.
Right? And then I started with and that's when I started writing my books also. And in 2009, I set up this place in Half-Class Village called the Kunzum Gallery, which was basically to showcase my books and my photography. But I sold one photograph on the first day, and I didn't sell any other photograph over the next 1 year. And I said, okay, I need to do something more. I need to get people in. And that's when we converted the Kunzum Gallery into Kunzum Travel Cafe, where we basically built a community of people coming in for conversations. Initially, the idea was to have conversations around travel, but it became totally cultural.
Right.
Talk about movies, books, everything started happening there because we offered free Wi-Fi, we had a library of books for people to read, and we introduced coffee, which was pay what you like.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You all love yes. So the Kultur Travel Cafe came about, and then eventually, during the pandemic, we went to another chain, and Kunzum Travel Cafe became Kunzum Books, which is a chain of bookstores, which we opened last year.
Well, that has been something, but where does this Kunzum Travel Cafe, the whole concept of a travel cafe came to you, and how did you realize that this could be a business, in India?
So I think it was more about kind of creating a community more around the theme of travel, because I was writing on travel. I was a travel writer primarily at that time.
Right, some books for the audience over here. Peep, peep, don't sleep. And then we have Postcards from the Dark, Kunzum Travel List. You can find all these books in Kunzum bookstores available online.
That's right.
And you can buy these from Ajay Jain and set up your itinerary, visit multiple places, and I'm sure the audience will get a lot of info from there.
Well, absolutely, because I write it in a very anecdotal site, so they're not like your typical guidebooks, but they give you a flavor of the places that I'm talking about. And while you can always look up the latest information on transportation and hotels and all. But what I really write in my books is the whole experience of being there, and what really to kind of go to places for when it comes to whether it's people or culture or places or monuments and stuff like that, or our heritage. And that's why my books, I try to write them in a little timeless format, so they don't need to be updated like travel guide.
Just fun filled from the cover itself. It looks like it is very approachable, and it speaks to you and gives you a good vibe that you can actually have a quick peek in and see what it's all about. So I urge everybody to have a look and check out the books at the website, the stores. That would be fantastic. All right, so from the travel guys to Nikita, how did how did this happen? So this is a quite a game changer for you. I mean, these are some anecdotal books. They are written for fun, but this is quite a serious stuff that you got in.
Yeah. So see, again, I'm trained as a journalist. I'm trained as a writer, and for me, I don't want to get limited by my genre. Even as a journalist, I was writing on diverse subjects, and my training allowed me to learn about new subjects quickly now. And so even before the pandemic, I was slowing down on my travels. I wanted to explore other genres of writing, and then this idea came of writing this book on Nikita, which is actually based on a true story. I interviewed a certain woman character in real life. I went through a complete personal history, and then I fictionalized it and wrote the book Nikita.
Now, you claim that this is partially realistic, but at the back it says fiction over here. That surprises me. Then
Yeah, because it's based on a true story, but it's been fictionalized.
okay.
Yeah, it's a very about fiction.
Well, out of all the tragedies, are half of them for real, or have you made up at least half of them? Because it is full of downtrodden roads and very desperate paths for Nikita, as it is.
So I would say everything is true. The circumstances and the situations might have been modified so that the real so people in the real character's life don't realize it's about her, right? So if the setting was, if the real thing happened in Lucknow, we change to Jaipur. If somebody's was a friend, maybe we change it to a friend of a friend. But we just change situation. But what really happened actually happened.
And is she really happy at the moment? Because the end didn't really justify that it was a happy ending. It was just a compromise that she made. So that was kind of difficult for me to grab.
But that's also reality,
Right.
right? A lot of people of that age group, right, also reluctantly make peace with the circumstances because they may not have a choice.
So right now she is compromising and she's okay. Is that how the final gist that I can get?
She's okay with that. And, there are times when she says, I am happy with my situation. But sometimes she says, I'm not happy with my situation. When she says, I'm happy with my situation, maybe she just she's genuinely happy on certain occasions. Maybe she's just kind of convincing herself that she's in a happy position. Because we are all human beings, right? Our emotions are kind of inconsistent. We don't know our own feelings on a certain day. And sometimes when I say making peace, it's just you compromise because everything can't happen according to one's wish list. Yeah.
One way give, one way take. That's how it goes. So yeah, but it's full of tragedies, and I could not fathom the amount that she had to go through. Be she in Delhi, be in Jaipur, or in Mumbai. So that was a definite lot of exploit, I would say. And it's a dark book and quite different from the fun-filled ones you've had before. So quite a change of genre, I would say. When you look at bookstores in today's times, with the AI taking over and everything going online, so how did you realize that this would be a feasible business or people will come back to the bookstores?
I think there are certain fundamentals you can't change, right? There are certain things we have been doing ever since God invented human beings, or God invented life. And there are certain things we keep doing. The formats and all may change, but certain things actually will not change. Even with the advent of, say, e-books and audiobooks, and they've been around with us for, I think, over 20 years, right? But the bottom line is, even in a tech-driven society like the US, over 80 to 85% of books that are sold and read are printed on paper. In fact, I think it's a misplaced notion that the young people are not reading. A lot of young people are reading. We have a significant chunk of our customers who are young people.
I would actually love to see them. But most of the events that I've come to had people in the later half of their life, attending them.
But it depends on the nature of the event, right? Because there are some young authors who have a younger following. If you come to those events, you see people in their late teens and early and mid 20s. Right? They're big numbers, right? If you were at the World Book Fair, right? We were managing the whole Penguin setup there. You should have seen the number of youngsters who were buying books, right? And so it was so heartening. And so I think young people are kind of still kind of holding the candle, the candle of the flame, right? I think it's the middle-aged and slightly older people. They are the ones who need the conversion, not the younger people.
Well, do you have given them a certain something to look forward to, or don't feel stupid at 60? Why do you think people at 60 get stupid? I just don't.
So this book is actually not for people who've turned 60.
I understand when people turn 60 in India, they have got plans. You know, my father, when he turned 60, the first thing is what get him married. They don't have.
So I think the basic premise of this life, and this is what I based on my. Although I wrote this book when I was in my early 40s, right? But it was a kind of a balancing act. The whole thing is, this book is a reflection of the philosophy I follow in my own life. And this is what I wanted to share with others.
Because it's timeless. It doesn't apply just to 60.
I see in my book that 60 is just a number, right? For some people, 60 might be 80 on their birth certificate, and for some people, 60 might be 50 and on their birth certificate, right? It's where to send the bar. The idea is that when you start slowing down in life, right? When you know that the options to do more in life are limited, and when you reflect back, you should feel stupid that, okay, I wasted an opportunity to lead a fuller and a more enriched life than what I could have only because of the choices and that I made. So this book is actually for all ages. And so it's more like a guide that before the kind of the clock slows down, right? Make sure you led a life that you will be glad you led when you reflect back later.
All right, that's I agree with that idea, and that sounds like the plan. So moving on from there to another area of your interest. You mentioned one of the areas that seek areas to travel.
Like ever since I turned travel writer, a lot of people have come up to me and said, "Oh, I wish I could travel. Right? I have to travel like you. I could travel. I wish I had the time to travel. I wish I had the money to travel." I said, "Look, if you decide to travel, there is a travel opportunity for everyone. There's a trip waiting for every budget. There's a trip waiting for every time slot, time available rather. So if you have only a day, go and explore your own city. Almost every place on the planet can be explored from the eyes of a traveler if you allow yourself to. If you have only a weekend, take a night off and drive off somewhere, right? So, and again, even when it comes to age, there's a trip waiting for every body type. You just have to have the will, right? Now I have my parents, the friends and all, right? They're traveling at 80, 85, 90s, right? It's all about the will and the attitude.
But tell me how you got started with the whole travel inside it. Such a fanatic for travel. How did it start for you? Did your parents encourage it? Did you just rebel and go out with your friends? How was it like?
Nothing of that sort. I was at a crossroads. I would say I was at the crossroads in my personal and professional life. I said I can't just walk away from everything, but the next best thing I can do is I can become a traveler, right? So I started traveling, and I would be on the road for weeks or sometimes even months on time, right? And then actually have not only did it kind of grow as a human being, not only did it enrich me, but I think it also healed me.
I want to know what led Ajay to leave everything and just become a traveler. Was it a heartbreak? Was it a spiritual, enlightenment? What was it about? Was it actually just boredom out of?
No, I think it was just a few disappointments in my personal and professional life, right? Like I said, in fact, I sometimes make a presentation when people ask me about my travels. There's a place called Ayodhya in Thailand. Which is, and at one of the locations, there's a huge head of the Buddha, right? It's only the head, and nobody knows how that head came to be standing upright on the ground, but it is kind of held together by the roots of a tree, so it doesn't move anywhere. That's it, right? So I usually use that image to say that I was going nowhere in life, just like this Buddha head, so I decided to go everywhere, right? So and that's how it started.
Fantastic. And where all have you been to, tell us some of your east and west so far,
So while I got the opportunity to travel to many countries across the world, in almost all the continents except the Antarctica, I would say that the most memorable travels were within India itself, rather the Indian subcontinent, which includes Nepal and Bhutan. And I don't say this as a patriot, but I think this region, the Indian subcontinent, is the greatest region in the world to travel to and travel within, right? Because whatever the world has is, from a traveler's point of view, is a subset of what India offers. Despite whatever people may say about, they might romanticize the idea of traveling this Indian subcontinent by train or by bus or bikes or something. I think the best way to travel in this country is on your four wheels, because you can carry all the equipment you want, right? You can carry whatever food and bedding, and also you can be kind of sleeping anywhere, eating anywhere. But very importantly, you are in control of where you can go. And some of my best anecdotes, some of my best experiences, and some of my best photographs have come only because I was driving myself and locals pointing me to something which I would have missed out on if I was in the public transport. Right. So, and on a bike, I couldn't have carried the gear anyway. Right. So if you want to explore India, you have to do it by road. So India is one country where on any given day of the year, you can choose to be in 40 degrees temperature or minus 40 on the same day.
Oh, that's now. Tell me some of the experiences that you have in travels, and anything out of the extraordinary that you have seen or experienced. What has it?
I think the most extraordinary experience on this planet, and I don't know how many human beings have actually done this. Probably none. I've not tried the most, but I think that probably none, is traversing the complete Himalayan span from Kashmir to Arunachal by road.
Wow.
Right? Starting from Kashmir, Ladakh, into Himachal, Uttarakhand, Nepal, and then into the into the northeast, which is your Assam, Nagaland, Arunachal, Bhutan, West Bengal. So this whole thing is connected by road.
I'm glad you know about the Seven Sisters. So that's great. I've actually lived in Arunachal for quite a while of my life, and I am from Himachal as well.
Yeah,
Kunzum.
So talking about Arunachal, when I go into Arunachal, it was an eye-opener because there was no guide that told me what awaits. There was nothing, and there was no Google Maps at that time.
It's just army place though.
iShare Map was not very useful.
Scary place.
And there was nothing scary. It was so beautiful. It was so warm and welcoming, right? And I think it's Arunachal is one of the.
You should go explore the wildlife. It's just pretty crazy over there. You get to see a lot of species of snakes or a lot of wildlife that you cannot see otherwise.
So I did to a great extent. And again, this is one drive, right, from Kashmir to Arunachal, where everything that a traveler wants is there. You got wildlife, you got the plains, you got the mountains, you got the rivers, you got the lakes, you got ancient monuments, you got natural heritage, you got tribes, you name it, it's all there.
I saw a photo with the bear. How did you manage to go so close to that bear? It must have been scary. Was it like a friendly bear, or what was that like?
Well, animals are friendly. Humans otherwise are not. No, I'm telling you, conduct yourself well, and in most situations, don't be a fool. But in most situations, what we should be scared of human beings more than animals.
To be honest, bears are the only animal that are predatory in nature, apart from humans, because they are the only people who don't care what you are, who you are. They're gonna eat you out, no matter how small or how big. So bears are one species that really scare me.
Yes, and that has to be a fact that bears are scary. In fact, contrary to perception, elephants are scarier than tigers and lions in the wild.
Absolutely.
Right? If the elephant, if they get enraged, you're in big trouble, because tigers and lions and leopards, you can kind of predict their behavior.
You can use tools against them. Something you can pick up maybe. Or leopards are kind of smaller animals. You can maybe pretend to be larger, and they may just scare you. Leopards can be that way, but elephants are scared. I absolutely agree. Have you had any such close encounters with elephants or something else?
So I've not encounters to be worried about, but I've seen elephants up close. I've seen them, and I saw a herd which you probably see once in a lifetime, of a complete herd of maybe 4 generations playing with each other, jumping over each other, pushing each other, laughing, having fun. Just like imagine like 40 human beings on top of each other having fun. There were like, I think 50, 60 such elephants within that. in the Manas National Park in Assam.
What's amazing. And it's case to have four of them together, 50 and 60 would.
Yeah, but you have to maintain your safe distance.
That's there. All right, tell me more about your journalism days. Let's take a step back. You were a sports writer. You were also writing about finance over there, or was it just usual journalism and before?
So, I told you, I got into journalism when I was 31, and I came back to look for jobs because I took up journalism at that stage of my life to do public interest journalism. But in course, I was overqualified everywhere.
Okay.
So, whichever newspaper I went to, they were okay taking a 21-year-old rookie with no experience as a reporter, but they would not take a 32-year-old holding multiple degrees and must be a vice quality more sadly. No, I was very good at the bottom, and eventually that's what I did. So I eventually got a break with the Financial Express, but it was a great experience being there because whatever I learned in school in the UK, that was probably only 20% of what journalism is. 80% I learned in that year and a half in the newsroom in the Financial Express. And I was lucky to have some very good bosses. And they taught me everything about reporting, research, interviewing, crafting stories, kind of how to write tight copy, headlines. And that actually shaped me as a blogger, as an author, as a writer in the future.
So are you planning to pitch in the Shark Tank?
No way.
Why so? I mean, this would be a great idea.
No, so I'm very clear that if we ever go for external funding, right, it would be partnering with somebody who does not disagree with our approach to the business, the ethos and the culture that we are trying to create, right? Because we cannot compromise on this fundamental principle that we are building a business on.
I'm sure that they don't disrupt the principle altogether.
No, but I don't want them to come and tell me, oh, this is fine, but like, why don't you supplement your income by selling teddy bears and by selling croissants? I don't want to do that.
Okay.
We want to sell books and we want to continue selling books. We want to learn how to sell more books, right? And so we see at this stage, it's too premature for us to even start thinking of external funding. Maybe we'll never go for it.
So have you set up the whole thing yourself?
Yeah, so right now it's all bootstrapped with my own personal resources. I'm very clear about that because VCs and angel funds or private equity, whatever you call them, and business partners come in the way of vision formation.
Any friends and family rounds that you might have had?
No. So I don't want to be answerable to anyone.
Oh wow!
Right? I want to do things my way. Things I believe in, I will do them. I want to make mistakes. I know that. I'm going to make losses. I'm going to stumble, but that's okay. I'll stumble on my own dime and not somebody else's.
That's a wonderful idea to possess. Now, take it through some of the highs and lows that you have had since establishing Kunzum, and in-house cars.
I think really the space that I've chosen to be in earlier, building a community around travel, which actually became larger than travel because it became more cultural in nature, right?
So sorry to interrupt. Has that traveler community migrated to the book reading community that you're trying to?
No, absolutely. If we didn't have that community, if we didn't have that brand Kunzum Travel Cafe, right, the uptake for Kunzum books would have been so much harder because we would have introduced a new brand in town. So we may have pivoted during the pandemic, but there was a high level of familiarity with the brand Kunzum in the city, right? And that actually gave us that little head start in attracting people to come to our stores.
Right. So did you lay up this groundwork before you went into this venture, or did it take a form of its own and develop, as the road progressed?
Yeah. So I think most of whatever I've done in life, it just happens, I kind of get a little spark one day.
Right.
And next thing I know that I'm running with the idea, finding the idea, and I do a market research and the feasibility and all the nuts and bolts along the way. So I don't wait to put everything together on, as like a concrete document where I know the whole path. And that again kind of brings back into my philosophy of being a traveler. Just keep driving and you don't know what the next milestone holds.
But, still, it went on, step by step on a pretty natural basis, I feel, for you, the way you started from a traveler to a travel cafe to a bookstore to a chain of bookstores to about designing the whole marketing. So that came on very organically and it happened really well, I think.
Yeah, so it was not like nothing was pre-planned. The Kunzum Travel Cafe and the Kunzum Gallery were not pre-planned when I started my blog Kunzum.com. All right, but I think what's important is we keep our mind and heart open to new possibilities, to new ideas, keep evolving, right? And don't be static in your thinking. Don't say just because I'm running a blog, I will continue running a blog only, right? So as long as you have that attitude, you will continue running only a blog. That's a different matter. But don't do it the closed one.
Did you start writing blog very early in your career, or was it later?
So I think I started professional blogging just around the same time that blogs were invented. So initially I was doing tech blogging, and I was also doing some blogging on youth matters because I was running a youth newspaper. But then I got into travel blogging. But then when I got into travel blogging, then I left other genres behind.
But you have been pretty involved with bookish cultures and concentrating around the area. So have you, what kind of school have you been into, early in your time?
So I started in St. Columba's School, and I think reading was a strong part of an important part. So reading was an important part of what we did, and one, we had to borrow a book every week from the library to read, and we had to read it, right? So while that was imposed, but I think the whole atmosphere, the whole kind of our upbringing, reading books was so natural to us.
Do you have a bookshelf in your home as well? Where your parents kind of promoting that kind of behavior, or kind of promoting the reading?
Yes, so I think I think reading was always kind of I would, even if it was not proactively encouraged, but it was always supported. Right? So so I think and school played a huge role in shaping me as a reader and a writer.
That definitely reflects from your writing as well. I mean, the importance of developing a personality. You have written a lot of personality development. Your books tend to give out in a sense of personality development in a certain spectrum. Establishing yourself in specific hobbies and pursuing arts. So, do you want to be a motivational speaker later in your career? Do you aspire to that path? Do you want to provide some kind of guidance?
So I don't know if I want to be like a structured motivational guru or speaker that I'm getting fat appeals or something.
Like, what was the guy's name? Sandeep Maheshwari. Was it some kind of like of that arena?
No, I haven't given that a thought, right? So I don't need to draw any parallels. The fact that some of the things I
said out, if you even know Sandeep Maheshwari.
Yeah, so I don't know him, but that's like no disrespect. Like he doesn't know me probably. So that's okay. Yeah, so yeah, but I'm saying that even this conversation we are having, in my own way, if there are some learnings or something that I will share with the world at large, I would say that for me, even just dropping the little nuggets, if it inspires somebody or it makes somebody's life better than what it is, then I've done my bit. I don't need to be like a professional speaker on stage to make that impact. I think the most, I would say the most important contribution I can make, and I'm trying to make to motivate people, is to earlier the Kunzum Travel Cafe and now Kunzum Books, is create that setting where people come together and there's not one motivational speaker, but everybody's actually motivating each other as a community. So it doesn't need to be like, like one person standing on stage and telling everybody the same cookie cutter motivational dhyan, right? So let
everybody have a chance.
Let everyone speak to each other, because all of us in our own ways, right, can motivate and inspire each other. It's only if we come together and have those conversations, face-to-face environment, and not so much on Instagram and Facebook.
Right. So I'm a true believer for that as well. That's why I'm so bad at social media stuff. But again, what are the three best books that you recommend for everybody?
That's an unfair question, because such great books have been written.
That's why I've asked for three, so that we don't have to pinpoint at what. We have three options to push at. Or three authors that you kind of favor reading.
So the thing is that preferences keep changing, right? Maybe at one time I was reading all the Sidney Sheldon and Jeffrey Archers and getting totally besotted by them. But today I might not want to read this, right? I'm happy reading Friedrich Bachmann. I'm happy reading Immortals. I'm happy reading Sally Rooney, right? They're all different genres, different styles of writing, right? But I love all of them. And so many other authors.
What is the latest genre that you're really fascinated with, the latest author that you're reading?
So, I think I'll pass the question. Yeah, because it's unfair because I'm also reading multiple books at the same time, right? So I think let's.
Hey, can you do that? Read multiple books at the same time? Because I tried it, but it kind of collages all together, and you kind of, if you don't read for a couple of days, then you kind of get everything out of the picture. So is it possible, or am I the only incapable?
No, again, if you go on so many different forums, there are like all kinds of people out there. There are some people who can only read one book at a time, and there are people who can only read multiple books at the same time, and there are people who can do either. I think I fall in the third category. I can be reading just one book at a time, or I can be reading multiple books at the same time.
So you get them in your mind. I just want to understand that.
I think the world we're living in, we've got so used to the clutter, right? There's so many kind of voices coming from so many different directions. Reading 2 or 3 books at the same time is actually not so bad compared to like if you just look at your phone, right? There are WhatsApp messages coming from all over. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, and then there's television, there's the movies, there's like the books, there's the newspaper.
I need to be very invested in while reading, but I don't know part of the.
I don't. The thing is, to each their own. Okay, right? So, and we're all wired and tuned differently, right? So I think it's there's nothing wrong or right or unnatural about any preference.
Okay. And you seem a pretty well-built guy. So were you into sports? Early in the early days, did you aspire for a Delhi Cricket Academy or something like that?
No, I was always into sports, but I was always bad at sports.
Okay.
But at least the enthusiasm was there. So I think So I think the final year of college, I done NEET, which has kind of persisted all my life.
So any specific sport that you were
So basketball and badminton were my favorite sports. Everyone played cricket, right? So yeah, but these two sports were the ones that were really my favorite. There was some sports I just couldn't get the hang of, like tennis and table tennis. I was so bad at them. Table tennis was like too tiny a sport for my friend.
That's what that's what I can agree. No, at the back of your mind, there's always an idea that I could have been a sports star or this athlete or that athlete. So which athlete, at the back of your mind, have you any time aspired to, be like?
I think
Gopichand?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I ever wanted to be a basketball or badminton star. I think if ever one wanted to be a star, was to be a cricket star, right? And at that time, I think the star of that time when I was playing cricket in the 80s and early 90s was, you had your Srikanth and your Gavaskar, all these guys. So I don't even remember who my role model was at that time. But yeah, but I realized that, okay, it's okay to fantasize about being a superstar, but really there's a lot of hard work and sweat and a bit of destiny that goes with it.
So right now, what kind of superstar do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who is at the back of the stage or, in front of the stage building and competing?
I think if I ever talk about, if I had to be seen as a star for anything, I would like to be seen as a star author. For me, writing more books, right?
Not a celebrated traveler, but now a star author.
So actually, I actually took to travel to write travel books, right? Not to be a travel vlogger or not to be a travel columnist. I want to write books, right? And that aspiration has stayed. And there have been, for various reasons,
Not just a travel channel.
yeah. So I want to write travel books, right? And so that's why I took up traveling. And for me, travel blogs and Instagram and all were just stepping stones, or just to kind of populate those places with my content while I was creating my books. I could have been a little more consistent with my book writing, because I do write books. When I sit down to write books, I create them very fast and I research them very fast. But kind of I have my distractions, I have my long phases of procrastination. So I haven't done full justice to myself as an author in terms of how many books. Although when I say I've already written 11 printed books and about 50 ebooks, that receive a lot of books. But for me, I think I could have done better than that. I could have written better books, and I could have done a better job marketing my own books, right? So for me, that's where I really want to be: writing more books, better books, and being better read.
Well, definitely that's that your future would definitely be a bright one if you have that kind of mindset. But I think procrastination at times helps you to develop an idea or build up a theory or establish a specific mindset. Or do you feel?
No, I totally agree with you. In fact, in the last few months, I've read a few articles which say that they didn't use the word procrastination, but they use the word boredom, right? And it's so important to be bored, because only when you're bored are you emptying your mind to allow new thoughts and new ideas to come into it, right? If you're all the time busy, right, how will new ideas come? If I wasn't bored during the pandemic, the idea of Kunzum books would have come out.
But right now you're busy as a bee, it's difficult to get a hold of you.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm busy, but I'm also meeting great people. And they kind of, when you meet great people, whether they are creative people or they are just on the business side or even readers, like they kind of fire up your mind and your heart in a way, which kind of makes up for the business.
That's absolutely what I want to talk more about. And I want to know, what are the future next 1 month looking like for Kunzum? Do we have any star authors coming in? Do we have any good lectures or debates coming up?
So we're doing this all the time now, right? Ever since we opened, I think in the 7 to 8 months that we've been open, fully open, I think we've hosted over 500 authors already, right? So we only have
Sashi Tharoor, Shavana Azmi, and Jamid Akhtar, these are huge names. And I'm not sure how you got Shashi Tharoor in your bookstore. That was some accomplishment, I'd say.
Well, the thing is, people may be stars, but at the end of the day, they're just people doing their job, right? Some people are more famous doing their job, and some people are not so famous. And I think no matter how big you become, how successful you are, how famous you are, if you can be, it's only through humility and your willingness to reach out to people that the success persists, right? And that's what's been about all these people who've come to us, whether it's all these people I've been interviewing, all these people who've been coming to our stores, whether they are superstars already or they are kind of, on the path to be famous, right? I think these traits are what make them all standout people, and that's why I love being with them.
It's wonderful. And do you have any aspiring, I look forward to author in the Indian genre that you feel would be a big name that you would definitely encourage, apart from yourself?
I think there's a lot of, again, it'll be unfair to take names, because there are some great people out there doing great work, and more than authors we know of already, there are so many latent authors waiting to write their first books. And it's, at every opportunity when I saw them, I tell them, why don't you write a book, right? They will be absolutely, your neighbor next door. All that person does is maybe they have a job in Engineers India Limited and they just go to the job and come back. But all of us, if we get down to it, we can write very interesting books. Even if we just start writing a pursuit memoirs, right? Just growing up in a certain neighborhood, going to school, our experience in college, our experience in workplaces, right? Then just so much that happens in the lives of ordinary people if it's written well as a story, right? In fact, you see most great stories, they're just ordinary people whose stories have been told in a great way.
Well, it takes some form of skill or, some form of vision to look at it, art and, recognize it as an art. Everybody don't have that vision, unfortunately.
Well, the thing is, those senses can be developed if we allow ourselves to. And every sense can be developed, and it starts with reading. If you are a avid reader, you're reading different kinds of books, that's what triggers off imagination in your mind. That's what makes you happy. That's what makes you relax. And that's the first step to becoming a creative person. Yes.
So how do you envision art for yourself? How do you envision art as a standard for yourself?
So I think art is something that appeals to your senses. It could be seeing the structure of a leaf outside in the garden, right? It could be a painting. It could be a great work of writing. And as long as we're seeing art as art and not as real estate. That okay, today this painting is 10 lakh rupees and tomorrow as well we got 15 lakh rupees, right? If you don't see it come through that prism, there's art all around us, right? Your shirt can be a work of art, many of my photographs can be a work of art, or so many books, the covers of those books, everything is art. Some nature is created and some man is created, man/woman, let's be politically correct, but everything eventually comes from nature.
Okay.
All inspiration, all colors, all art forms, it all comes from nature.
So how you perceive the nature and how the nature moves you, basically, that's how art is.
So for me, I'm a strong votary that nothing matters if you can't preserve a natural world. Nothing matters. No matter how much your GDP rises, how much money you make, how many cars you have, how many houses you have, how much territory you have, nothing will matter if we do not take care of our environment like day before yesterday.
All right, there's the environmentalist Ajay Jain for you. Thank you so much for thanks for having you on the show last time. Now we have his latest release, Nikita over here. Don't forget to take your copy from Amazon. Go over to Kunzum bookstores. We have 5 bookstores in Delhi. Website, yeah. We have 5 bookstores in Delhi. If you're there in Delhi, feel free to join in. And we have got this amazing ambience. Hardik, would you mind showing our audience a little bit of the whole arena? It's a fabulous, fabulous place. I'm sure you'll enjoy the coffee. There are lovely cookies and, a number of books that you have never seen, I'm sure, in your life, except for your school library. So just give a quick look out the beach.
All right, let's have a little tour. I saw to the
this 2 minutes and restaurant. And I've encouraged everybody to come down to the stores. Beautiful, beautiful ambience and a lovely place to sit down, have a coffee, read a book, and go on happy. So that's all for now. Thank you, Ajay, and hopefully we'll catch you soon. And we will have him over again soon enough. Maybe not very soon, but we'll have him sometimes. All right, thank you so much.
All right.